So today's topic is this is topic working capital management. It is chapter 9. You can refer to page 90. So what is working capital? So working capital is include the asset and also the current liabilities, the current asset and current liabilities. So we want to know in working capital, we will see how the capital is being utilized. All right. So we will see at the net working capital. So net working capital will show us that is it the working capital of the company is a positive or negative working capital. All right. So if it is a positive net working capital, it will explain to us that the company has low risk. Okay, it might has low return and also low risk. But negative net working capital, it will show us that that is a high risk and high return. That is a possibility of high return. Okay, kenapa dia why is high risk is because of when there is a negative net working capital, it will show us that the current liabilities is more than current asset. So by identifying the net working capital, we will understand that net working capital is current asset minus current liabilities. Current asset minus current liabilities. So positive net working capital, it will show us that the current asset is more than current liabilities. Negative net working capital will show us that current liabilities is more than current asset. So that is the first thing in net working capital management. The second thing that you have to know in working capital management is the cash cycle. So we call it as cash conversion cycle. The cash conversion cycle, we want to see how long it takes for the company to recycle the cash. So it starts with inventory turnover. The duration for inventory turnover. So how long? So actually we want to see how long it takes for the company to sell all the inventory from the stock. So we want to see the inventory turnover, the duration of inventory turnover, and account receivable turnover. Or in another word, we call it as average collection period. The calculation of inventory turnover average collection period, you already learned in financial ratio. So I don't need to explain further on this part. Just want you to understand the relationship between all the information you have. All right. So inventory turnover, from the inventory being sold out from the store until you get cash from your customer, we call it as operating cycle. Okay. So why it's operating cycle? Because you want to know how long it takes for your company to get all the cash. From the moment you invest money for your inventory to get all the inventory until all the inventory is being sold to the customer, and then the duration for you to wait until your client and your customer to pay you cash. Okay, settle down their debts to you. So we call it as operation cycle. Then after that, once you get all the cash, you need to pay back all your supplier. So we call it as, this duration, we call it as average payment period. How are you going to pay your supplier if you don't have enough cash? So you need cash from your client. So your client will pay you cash. Then using the cash that you have, you can utilize that cash to pay your supplier. So this duration, we call it as the moment from operating cycle until you pay your supplier. We call this as cash conversion cycle. All right, so this is cash conversion cycle. So to summarize this, to have a look in a form of formula, so cash conversion cycle is equal to average age of inventory plus with the period of average collection period minus average payment period. Okay, so this is cash conversion cycle. To make this formula short, it is operating cycle minus average payment period. So all the answer will be in this. In your group, average age of inventory, it is AAI. In financial statement analysis, it is known as inventory turnover in days. Average collection period is ACP. Average payment period is AP. It's average payment period. So once you settle down the operating cycle and average payment period, you will get the duration for cash conversion cycle. All right. So let us go to example, page 92. Super Berhad has an annual sales of 5 million. With cost of goods sold is 3 million. The account payable and account receivable, so account payable is equal to 456,000 and account receivable equal to 500,000. The inventory for the year is 411,000. So calculate account receivable turnover. So how to calculate account receivable turnover? Actually, yeah. Account receivable turnover. Account receivable turnover in this is equal to account receivable. Darab dengan sales divided by 365. Times with 365 divided by 6. Yeah, it's 36.5 this. I prefer to use this formula rather than account receivable divide with sales divide with 365. Actually, you also can use this formula. But me, myself, I prefer this formula. I prefer this formula. Because this formula somehow it can make me confused. It's not confused lah. It's actually, it can lead me to wrong answer. Because I need to calculate this part first, then this answer divide this answer. Instead of this, I can just start with account receivable, then continue times with 365 divided by 3 divided by 6. It's okay. But it depends on you. Which method is the best for you. Okay. Second, you need to calculate inventory turnover. It's equal to inventory times with 365 divided by COGS, cost of goods sold. So it is 411,000 times with 365 divided with 3 million. The answer is 50 this. Try to answer this. Next, you need to calculate payable turnover. Or in another word, we call it as average payment period. It is account payable times with 365 divided by 3 million. And then you will get the answer of 55.5 this. Now you need to calculate the cash conversion cycle. So cash conversion cycle is equal to operating cycle minus average payment period. So average collection, operating cycle is equal to average collection period plus average age of inventory minus average payment period. So average collection period equal to 36.5 days plus inventory turnover is 50 days minus 55.5 days. So the answer will be 31 days. Okay, if you want to draw a timeline for this, first you need to show So this is how you draw a timeline for cash conversion cycle. Let us look at second example. The example of Max Company. Example of Max Company is in page 91. Okay. So Max Company is a producer of paper dinnerware, has annual sales of 10 million, cost of goods sold is 35.7% of sales, and purchases that are 65% of cost of goods sold. Max has an average age of inventory of 60. Average collection period is 40 and average payment period is 35 days. So calculate cash conversion cycle. Cash conversion cycle is operating cycle minus average payment period. So operating cycle is equal to AAI plus ACP, which it is 60 plus 40 minus average payment period is 35 days. So the answer is 65 days for the cash conversion cycle. So let me show you the timeline. Okay, so this is the timeline for this example. Okay, then they inform us that there is sales of 10 million, cost of goods sold is 75% from sales, and purchases is 65% of goods sold. Okay, so the second question there is to calculate the resource invested. So during the duration of cash conversion cycle, how much is resource that have been invested? So how much money is needed during the cash conversion cycle? So we are calculating on the resource invested. So how to calculate resource invested? So it's equal to inventory plus account receivables minus account payable. Okay, but don't forget to times the answer with the days of the turnover. Okay, for example, the inventory. It tells you that the inventory is 75%. Okay, let us calculate first. Sales is 10 million. Cost of goods sold is 75% of sales. So it is 750,000. And the purchases are 65%. So average, account payable, because it's purchases, right? So account payable is equal to 65% from COGS. So times with 750. Then account receivables account receivable is based on sales. So 10 million times with four. So yeah, it's account receivable, it's account receivable. So we assume that all the sales will be the account receivables. Okay, so it's 10 million. All right, now go back to the previous discussion, which is how much is the resource invested. So this all inventory plus account receivable minus account payable, all this you need to multiply that figure, that amount with the turnover. So for example, inventory, how much is the inventory? You need to multiply that amount with inventory turnover, divide by 365. So inventory turnover is 750,000 times with 60 over 365. Okay, so that is the answer lah. Plus account receivables is 10 million. Because we assume all sales comes from the operational sales. Okay, times with 40 divided by 365 plus account payable. Account payable is okay. So account payable is 487,500. So the answer is 1,232,877 plus 1,095,890 plus 467,466. So all this number you add up all the numbers, then you will get the resource invested. So during the times of cash conversion cycle, so this is the amount that the company need to have. Okay, so it is cash conversion cycle. Alright, so we will continue with net working capital for the second meeting.